First and foremost, in this video, I just want to thank you all so much for all the recent support, especially on my last video. I spent a lot of time on it and it really makes me happy to see that you guys enjoyed it as well. In today's video, as the title do suggest, we're going to be talking about how to play stacked endgames, what to do, what not to do, and some good tips to become even better. So with that said, let's get right on into it. Tip number 1, play a lot of customs, but don't click off the video yet. Playing customs in itself isn't really the best way to practice. When playing these customs, have one dedicated game plan for your game that you are going to execute. For instance, trying to take height no matter how hard it is. Customs are generally just practice, and you gotta challenge yourself to do what makes you win a game. Practice what's hard, practice what you think will make you better, and don't just go into a custom game not knowing what you're gonna do or wanna do in the endgame scenario. Tip number 2, don't tunnel vision. This is a lot easier said than done. If you do not know what tunnel vision is, it can for instance be getting a hard tag on your opponent in an endgame and then only focusing on getting that kill. In endgames, you gotta see the bigger picture and what's best for both you and your duo. I'm focusing this video on duos as duos FNCS is already ongoing, and I think that's what a lot of people are interested in. Right now, for instance, I get tagged heavily in the back, but luckily I have floppers. I don't tunnel vision and I do not think that I'm already dead. And that leads me on to tip number 3. Know your scenario. Let's say you're playing FNCS and you need a whopping 2 points to qualify for the finals. You have already gotten top 5, you have 0 mats, and there is no hope for you to win the game. What should you do? Well, the only way you can get those 2 points is probably by going for kills. When you're top 5, there's a big chance that there's at least 1 or 2 duos left, and fighting them with 0 mats is incredibly difficult. Going for kills here will not only let you get your points, but it will also give you the opportunity to win the game. This is basic game understanding, and I'm pretty sure all of you guys already got this down, but it's gotta be included in a video about stacked endgames. Tip number 4, use your game sound. And this sounds very easy, but once again, it's easier said than done. Game sound doesn't only allow you to localize your opponents on rotation, but it also allows you to know what kills to go for and what kills not to go for. I just want to say that using your game sound properly is one of the most important aspects of succeeding in endgame scenarios, and this will greatly help you out. Be sure to be very aware of your game sound, know what to do with it and how to play with it. Once again, it's easier said than done, but game sound is heavily underrated and never talked about in endgame videos. That's why I want to emphasize how important it actually is. I don't want to drag this topic out for too long, but I already know that I'm gonna get a lot of comments saying that the Fortnite game sound is terrible. Yes, it is, but it is for everyone, and that's why you gotta make the most of it. With that said, let's hop on over to tip number 5. Tip number 5 is knowing when to use wood, brick, or metal. On free rotations, when you aren't getting focused, using wood is the best. Keeping your hard mats, your brick and metal that is, for later is incredibly crucial if you want to win your games. I want to suggest to everyone watching this video that you go into your next custom game super aware what mat you are using, because trust me, it is one of the most important factors in succeeding in an endgame scenario. And that leads me on to tip number 6. Be mat conservative. Use as little mats as possible on rotation. If you don't have to full build, do not do it. Ramp tunnels are super good and in the game for a reason. With that said, do not get greedy on using mats either. Getting killed with a lot of mats in an endgame scenario is the worst feeling ever. So be super aware if you need to use a lot of mats or if you can be super conservative. And by conservative, for those of you who didn't already understand, I basically just mean save as much mats as you can. Ramp tunnel where it's possible and don't commit to anything too stupid. Tip number 7 and 8 is gonna be awareness and what layer to choose. So these kind of go hand in hand, as your awareness is incredibly important for what layer you will choose in an endgame scenario. We're gonna quickly go back to the first game that I showed in this video and take a look at my bad awareness there. First bad awareness moment. He had a bandage bazooka, I had 2 open slots, it's a no-brainer, I gotta take the bandage bazooka. However, I didn't. Alright, that was one bad awareness moment. Everybody has them here and there, it's completely fine, and it didn't really do anything too bad as I did have a flopper. However, I keep on moving and I see another opponent, and this guy actually had minis, and this is where it gets bad. I didn't even pick up the minis. Taking your time to loot an opponent in the zone, especially when you have the health and a launch pad, is incredibly important, and this is something I personally got to work on a lot, and I'm looking forward to become better at in the coming weeks. When it comes to choosing a layer in a Fortnite endgame, you want to be on the least contested layer, and this is if you aren't already on high ground. And this is where awareness comes in. If you have good awareness, you're going to be able to know what layer is good, what layer is bad, where you can go and where you cannot go. Of course, localizing 20 other opponents like in this endgame is incredibly difficult, so you also got to have quite a bit of game sense. Right now, I launchpad onto a pretty nice layer, I would say, and I'm just gonna let this endgame play out because it was pretty alright. And while this endgame is playing out, we gotta take a look at tip number 9, and that is endgame mechanics, because people do not realize that creative mechanics and endgame mechanics are very different. Obviously, it's the same game mechanics, but in endgames, it is incredibly laggy, especially right now, the servers are terrible. Am I the only one that feels that? Let me know in the comment section below, but just practice in endgames, playing customs, and doing it a lot will greatly help you out. Here's a showcase of what pretty decent endgame mechanics can look like. This endgame was actually really good. I managed to clutch up quite a bit of points. We were playing like a custom tourney. It was a lot of fun, and unfortunately I managed to die just in a second here. I got really unlucky, tagged this opponent for like 147, and then I died. Tip number 10, take high ground. I actually took high ground in this game, and it was so difficult, man. In some games it is just nearly impossible to take it. This player on top was like a tier 1 professional, and I almost didn't get it. I almost died, and it was so unfortunate, but luckily I just outskilled him and got the high ground. But that is pretty much it, everybody. I just want to say that taking high ground is pretty easy in most cash cup games, and I would recommend you guys trying it out. Just don't challenge me on high ground, please. Like, I don't like people challenging me on high ground. But yeah, that'll do it for today's video. I hope you all enjoyed. Spent a lot of time on this one as well, so a like would be greatly appreciated. Of course, only if you liked the video. And with that said, I'll see you all tomorrow with a brand new video. And until then, guys, take care.